All right, everyone's about to join our Zoom meeting. It looks like everyone's getting in here live. My name is Anthony Colincheco, and I run Discipline Wealth Solutions. Thank you all for joining us for another webinar. We've been hosting these about once a month and trying to bring advisors great content, help serve their clients and build their book of business. And a couple housekeeping items. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, go ahead and click the Q&A box and go ahead and ask your questions, and we'll try to get those answered for you. We're also going to have this recorded and post it to our marketing portal for DWS folks and DWS advisors. If you're not a DWS advisor or want to learn a little more about us, please don't hesitate to reach out. We help advisors with all back office support, sort of like a TAMP. So love to have a conversation with you. We also have a conference coming up in Greenville, South Carolina in the first week of October. And this wonderful lady, Kate, will be joining us at that conference. And I'm super excited about this because I'm a nerd, just like Kate is about operations. Kate runs a firm called Simplicity Ops, helps advisors across the country with all things operations, CRMs. She's also helped me get my operations up and running for not just Discipline Wealth Solutions, but our other RIA called Valentine Capital Advisors. Has been a huge help, not just for me, but all my staff members, and super excited to hear what she has to say today. So Kate, I'll hand this over.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you everybody for joining us. So like Anthony said, this is going to be recorded. I am going to share some resources at the end here that will also be emailed to you, so you can click on the link and download them for yourself. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get after it. As Anthony said, my name is Kate Guillen. I'm the founder of Simplicity Ops, and we partner with financial advisors to help streamline operations and deliver an exceptional client service experience with the implementation of systems, workflows, and technology. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, the power of technology in wealth management, and show you kind of how to connect the dots between tech, operations, and service. All right, so why don't we start kind of at the top here and explain why, why the client experience matters more than ever. And what I've come to notice over the last couple of years is that clients' expectations have changed. In today's, environment, clients want fast, proactive, and personal service. And in the kind of crowded advisory space, your client experience is what's going to be the differentiator. Trust, isn't built in a single meeting. It's built over time, and it's built through consistent, meaningful interactions. And so I want to show you how to do that utilizing systems, workflows, and technology at scale. All right. And so let's define first, what does it mean? And this is going to differ for each person, but defining operational excellence. And so I'd like you to think about the last time you received an excellent customer service experience, okay? And in my opinion, it's about running your firm with clarity, consistency, and intention. It means having very clearly defined processes, aligned systems, and a team that confidently executes. Okay, and so we're going to talk today about some key pieces of technology that you can use to ensure, an excellent customer service experience and mutual adoption by your entire team to ensure that level of consistency. And so the way you do this, we're going to start at the top, and we're going to start with your CRM, because your CRM is a whole lot more than a digital Rolodex. It can actually be the hub or the command center and the brains behind this entire operation, okay? Your CRM needs to be your contact management system, task management, pipeline, notes, calendar. You guys can read what I put together here. Setting up your client account feed, building out a proactive client service experience, leveraging workflows to deliver those services at scale, and then automating all of the routine things that you are doing, like, meeting prep and follow-ups and opening new accounts and moving money, to standardize and create efficiency around delivering excellent customer service, okay? And so when the CRM is well used, it really powers the entire client journey, okay? And so let's talk for a second about the client journey. Here's a sample of like, what a proactive client service experience could look like. And I bring this up as kind of to get your wheels spinning and think about jotting down, who it is that you serve, the services you provide, and what do you want this, experience to feel like. This is your opportunity to create a unique client service experience that is reflective of you and your team, okay? So putting yourself in your client's shoes and thinking about what do you want this journey to feel like. First of all, we got to qualify our folks, right? Thinking through like the 3 A's: AUM, advocacy, and attitude, or like revenue. How much money do they bring into your business? Do you enjoy working with them? And are they a good referral source? And qualifying these folks first so that we can create a scalable service experience for each different segment within your book of business. And then defining what that looks like. How many times a year are you meeting with people? Who on your team is meeting with people? The higher, more experienced, lead financial advisors are serving the higher value clients. And then we scale that down accordingly based on our team's, experience and skill set, right? Same thing for your administrative folks. This is an important exercise, not only just to segment your book of business, but create, define the expectations for your team internally for what this experience needs to look like and feel like. How many times are we meeting with people? How quickly are we getting back to people? Using this as kind of like a guide so that your team knows what is expected of them. But once this has been documented, I find a lot of times, advisors either haven't done any of this, or they have done this, they've documented on like some sort of like service matrix, like this spreadsheet, but unless it's put into action, meaning unless we're using our CRM to deliver, these services proactively, this is just a pipe dream. Okay. We actually need to put this into practice. And so, I'm a big fan of the CRM, as I'm sure you're figuring that out. Utilizing, automations and workflows and templates to make sure that everything we've documented on this service model spreadsheet actually happens. If you're a Redtail user, that we've got keywords for the 12 months of the year that indicate how frequently we're meeting with people so that we can run advanced searches and broadcast email everybody to invite them in for a review meeting, whatever it looks like. Make sure that we've captured people's hobbies and interests so that, on their 70th birthday, we can celebrate that big milestone and send them something personalized. You get what I'm getting at, okay? So it's important to map out this client journey and map out this client experience so we know how to take it to the CRM, to use the CRM as a vehicle for delivering a proactive client service experience. Okay? The other reason this is important, it's going to help you identify all of the repetitive things that you are doing. And if you've listened to me talk before, I believe that anything that's done more than 3 times, that has more than 3 steps, deserves a workflow. A workflow is simply a checklist or an SOP, a standard operating procedure. It documents a series, in chronological order of the steps and tasks that need to be done to execute all the various things that you do for your clients, for your prospects, and like operationally internally. Workflows are not limited to just client facing and prospect work. It also, billing, trading, reporting, compliance, hiring, firing, running payroll, marketing, hosting events, okay? Anything that you are doing more than a handful of times deserves a workflow. And the reason this is important is, again, it sets the expectation for your team internally that they know how to execute all of these, repetitive things, which builds confidence. And the ripple down effect is that now there's a consistent experience in place, which breeds confidence in your clients. The clients can rest assured that no matter who they talk to on your team, they're going to get the same experience, okay? Because we have standardized and documented how our firm handles, the passing of a client, something that needs to be handled with the utmost care, with as little back and forth and friction as possible, okay? We need to standardize communication, and have email templates in our workflows so that there's a consistent communication style across the team. I think you guys can see what I'm getting at here, but in order to operate efficiently and consistently, we need to document our firm's processes and procedures. And some of your custodians will have really helpful material that you can use to start to build these workflows. And then I will share at the end of this conversation some like ideas of how to write workflows really effectively. And I'll give you guys a couple of templates to help kind of get the wheels spinning. So here's a couple of really good examples of, client management, all the repetitive things you're doing on the client servicing side, the onboarding of a new client. Someone reaches out, says, I've heard really good things. We need to have an introductory or a qualifying call. Then we have them in for some sort of discovery process. We put together a plan. You guys get what I'm getting at. In an effort to not reinvent the wheel every single time one of these things comes up. It is short-term pain for long-term gain, but you need to document these processes to eliminate NIGOs, to create, consistency, and elevate your client service experience. All right, and I'm kind of buzzing through this quickly, you guys, kind of high level, but like Anthony said, we'll be at the conference later this year where we can take a much deeper dive into this. But I also want to share that even once your CRM is like totally dialed, you've got a contact management system, task, pipeline, calendaring, okay? The CRM can't be all the things. Your CRM is simply the database managing the data in your client service experience. As you start to build out this operating system within your CRM, you're going to continue to find some friction points. Okay, that's very natural. And in my experience, the friction points are usually like, oh, calendaring is still super manual. Taking notes, documenting them for compliance in the CRM, data gathering, form filling, automations, there's so much clicking, like this is still a pain point. And that's why I bring this up. There are some other really cool pieces of technology on the market today that I find really help elevate the client service experience and empower the people on your team delivering that client service experience to help them do their job easier so they can be spending more time doing the high value stuff. And so things that I want to highlight, AI is like such a buzz right now, and I'll dig into this a little bit deeper in just a second, but the AI note takers, okay? It's a phenomenal tool for speed and accuracy and creating consistency, but it'll literally join your calls, take your notes, compile, your follow-up action items, push it into your CRM so that your team has, we need to open up a new account, we need to move some money, we need to change an address, and the bennies are wrong on the IRA or whatever it is, okay? The AI note taker will literally capture that information, push in your follow-up activities, compile, comprise a follow-up email to your client that you can wordsmith and send out following the meeting. It can also comb through notes and activities and help put together meeting agendas. And in my experience, this just saves, tens of hours a week in manual documentation and preparation, not to mention having like a secondary associate advisor in on the meeting with you, which costs a lot of money and isn't the highest value, for that person's time. So huge fan of AI note takers. Jump is a really big one that a lot of our advisors use. They're very happy with. FinMate is another. Zox is another. I prefer Jump because of its ability to prep for meetings and do the follow-up. It gets, has a really high customer satisfaction rate and a large share of the market. So big fans of that. Client engagement tools. Again, so I didn't say this earlier, but my background is in supporting financial advisors in an admin and ops capacity. And so I know how tedious it is to capture client information, create custodial paperwork, keep the CRM updated. And so leveraging tools like Precise FP to help with data gathering and form filling and create, a greater client engagement, I'm all for. And then, automation, whether it's native, like within Redtail, there's some native automation, it's a little limited, but I think it does a pretty good job. You put in a task, it fires off the corresponding workflow. You change an address, it fires off the corresponding workflow. You change someone from a prospect to a client. You guys get what I'm getting at. So there's some native automation available to advisors. Where kind of the native automation falls short, you can leverage tools like Zapier. Again, it's kind of a middleman that creates an if this then that situation. It plays really nicely with both Redtail and Wealthbox. And then if you're really trying to take it to the next level, there are organizations like BMO Automation he's an absolute wizard in leveraging AI to create additional automation within your CRM and really integrate and make all of your systems hum between, your financial planning software, your CRM, just really taking that level of automation to the next level where some of the CRMs just fall a little short there. So I say all of that because I'm not sure where everybody is kind of in their systems and processes journey. But for those of you who maybe, haven't, taken full advantage of your CRM, you need to start there first. Some of these tools that I'm explaining are a little higher level for those who have built a really solid operational foundation within their CRM. But 100% that is the first place you need to start before you start piling things on like AI note takers, Precise FP, automation, scheduling tools, things like Calendly and G reminders to streamline scheduling client reviews or prospecting meetings that have the ability to automatically launch workflows and create contacts and, create opportunities, yada, yada, yada. Fans of all those tools, they are going to make your life and your administrative team's life infinitely easier. But as you consider these tools, KISS, keep it simple first. Start with that CRM, identify pain points or, continued friction points, and then look to, the advisor tech world to solve some of those pain points. All right, I'm going to keep going here. All right, this is the buzz everywhere. I mean, if you, aren't following AI, you must live under a rock. But here's where I stand on this. I am a fan. As long as it's creating efficiency, simplifying things, still feels super authentic. I don't like the idea of, I don't think that AI is going to replace anybody. I think it's going to help us spend more time doing the high value stuff. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago and Kitsis was the keynote speaker and he said, AI is not going to replace financial advisors. Financial advisors who leverage AI are going to replace financial advisors who don't. And I kind of sat for that with a second. I'm like, that's awfully bold, but I can't say that I disagree because it has created, at least in my business and for our clients, so much efficiency around, here's some like common use cases that I see advisors using for AI, I'm careful when I say creating content and emailing because there's nothing worse than getting like a super canned AI email. It feels super inauthentic. It loses its essence. It just feels really inauthentic to me, I guess is the best way to say it. But what I like using AI for is, when a client sends an email with a really complex problem, using chat or whatever, your preferred system is to put in the email and say, hey, can you help me craft a follow-up? And at least get the bones of the email written. So we're not having to create things from scratch. Or, hey, I've talked to multiple prospects this week and there's a really common through line. People are really struggling with whatever it is. Can you help me write a LinkedIn post or an email newsletter and at least let it get some ideas together for you so that you can wordsmith it, make it feel and sound like you, but really create, a ton of efficiency around creating content, drafting emails, copy creation for your website, creating images like, these little robots and things. These were all created using chat, right? You can just share like, I'm trying to create a presentation around whatever it might be. Can you help me put together a script or like, what should the slides be? Can you help me create some, some images that, reflect what I'm talking about, whatever it might be. I think AI is really a great tool to use to create efficiency around content and emailing. Another thing I'm a really big fan of, I'm sure all of you who have a team run into this, but having bottlenecks because of like a lack of redundancy in specific key roles. And for me, I have a team member on my team who's a technical expert. She's the CRM wizard. She's very She is the brains of our operation, and we rely on her very heavily for technical questions and technical things. And it creates a bottleneck, and it overwhelms her with questions and inquiries because the rest of us don't have that same level of knowledge. And so what we are doing is we are taking all of Catherine's emails and explanations and written documents and all of her recorded calls and the course that we have built with all of our, training, and we are compiling all of that within an online, chat bot that's called Delphi. Anyway, I'm getting into the weeds here, but creating an internal knowledge base with all of the resources that we have compiled to teach and train our clients and teach and train our employees. So we have a centralized knowledge base that anybody on our team can go ask questions. And where this differs from like chat or like a Google search is the bot has been trained with our language, the way we coach, the way we teach, our best practice. And it differs a little bit from the way Wealthbox and Redtail teaches. And we'll argue with them about that. But we have our proven process and our best practices. And so when our team has a question about how to answer a client's question, or how do we coach about this, or how does our team handle that, we can't rely on the Redtail or Wealthbox material and resources, or chat or Google, because they are not reflective of our team's best practice. So we had to build our own chat bot that acts as our internal knowledge base, to ensure consistency around the way we teach, the way we coach, and the way we communicate with our clients and prospects. Okay, we are building the same thing for frequently asked client questions. So, we have a learning system, if you will, where we coach and teach our clients. And we often get asked we get asked the same questions all the time. What's the difference between an activity and a workflow, a keyword and a tag group? Like, how would you handle XYZ? Can you send me a workflow whiteboarding document for client death? We get asked all the same questions all the time. And so we built a chat bot that, again, is our firm's best practice for how to handle XYZ, that a client can go to and ask a question, and they're going to get mine or Catherine's answer. It's not going to be the Google answer. It's not going to be the Redtail answer. It's going to sound and feel just like us. And so I encourage you folks to look into things like this. Obviously, you got to check with your compliance department and things like that. It can't have, people's names or like account specific information, but for general questions, and as a way to better delegate to some of the other people on your team to help them be able to clearly communicate, complex topics with your clients, I suggest you guys start digging into things like this to create some real efficiency within your office as it relates to serving your clients and delivering a better customer service experience. Same thing. So the last thing I'll touch on AI here is AI powered cleanup, workflow automation, and meeting prep. For those of you that are Wealthbox users, Wealthbox is going to be rolling out this summer a native AI tool that you can ask, hey, the last time I met with Bob Jones, can you put together a meeting summary, or can you put together an agenda of everything that I've done since the last time we met with Bob Jones? Can you please run any reports for contacts that are missing types or categories or tags? You can basically speak to it, and it acts as your assistant within your CRM to run various reports, help clean up contacts. That's going to shave off a considerable amount of time clicking around in their system, to ensure the data integrity and that your system is well maintained. So I'm super fired up about that release coming this summer. Workflow automation, I kind of touched on. My friend Ben Olson with BMO Automation. He is an absolute wizard at leveraging AI to create workflow automation, especially in Wealthbox. Redtail's workflow automation is mediocre, but Wealthbox doesn't have that same level of automation, and he's a really good person to lean on if you want to take your automation within your CRM to the next level. And then I talked about Jump to help with meeting prep. Again, my experience is in supporting financial advisors. The amount of hours I have spent preparing meeting agendas, gathering statements, getting everything together, in preparation of an annual review or a semi-annual review, whatever it is, was astronomical. And so having tools now that can read and source this information directly from your CRM is incredibly powerful. And so I think you can kind of see what am I trying to say? The common denominator here and everything that I explained is none of these tools are going to be effective until you have a solid foundation within your CRM. All right. Anthony, can I keep rolling? Do we have any questions or am I good to keep rolling?
There is one question, Kate. What CRM do you like best?
Oh man, are you going to make me say this on Are you really going to make me say this on a recording? I have been a Redtail diehard for 14 years. I have loved Redtail, but I love Wealthbox. I'm gonna remain relatively neutral. It's kind of hard to do these days. If I was gonna start an RIA tomorrow, I would use Wealthbox. I said
Yeah,
it.
I guess I'll say this, you know, I've been a Bricktail user for a long time. The problem I see currently right now is they don't really make much enhancements. And you know, I was hoping when Orion purchased Redtail that there would be a lot more enhancements to the system itself, but it seems like Wealthbox is a new technology and able to make enhancements a lot quicker. That's my 2 cents.
I echo what you say. I feel very similarly. Wealthbox's ability to innovate, and I mean, if you follow them on social media, they're hiring developers like this. They've got a native AI tool coming out this summer. They're like super open to feedback. They're super open to recommendations, and they are quick to act. And the system works really well. And I will say this, I do have billion-dollar clients using Redtail. So like, I'm not saying Redtail is not a good tool. It is, and it has served people very well for a very long time. But Wealthbox's innovation is impressive to me.
One more question. What are the most common areas where you see potential for AI powered data cleanup?
Yeah, well, specifically in Wealthbox, being able to run reports. One of the workflows that we'll include at the end of this presentation is the quarterly CRM maintenance workflow. And you'll see, so I'm going to get to this in just a second. I want to give you guys kind of a roadmap for like how to put this into practice. And it starts with, you know, getting your CRM organized, building out your processes and procedures, you know, implementing workflows and getting team adoption, and then maintenance. And so using AI to help maintain your CRM to ensure data integrity, I think is a really good use case. We spend a lot of time running reports to make sure everybody has a status and a category and date of birth and social security numbers, and we're not missing any regulatory required information. And being able to leverage a bot to do that instead of like manually running all the reports is going to be a time saver. Good question. All right, so I'm going to keep rolling here because I think I'll answer some of these questions that when I put together the roadmap. But one of the things that I want to first bring up before I give you the solution is avoiding some of the common pitfalls that I see advisors fall into. And no offense, you guys, but advisors are, you know, bright, shiny object chasers. And I often get into firms where like there's a lot of redundant tech. And you know, subscriptions for things that like people aren't even using. And so, you know, don't get too excited by the Kitsis tech map. You know, there's like so many solutions on there. There's so much technology. You literally don't need all of it, and you literally don't need one in every category. Okay. Leverage your CRM for as far as you can take it. And like I said, when you feel friction, solve it with advisor tech. But your technology is not the solution. You need team buy-in, you need team adoption. Okay, so invest in training, you know, document processes and how to use the tech so that it's easy to use and accessible, and you get the, you know, mutual adoption by your entire team. And reinforce through process and through training. The tech should, you know, support your team, not frustrate them. And adoption is really a leadership issue in my experience, and not a user problem. Leadership needs to model good behavior and use the tools to get everybody else on board. Okay. And then just overcomplicating the system. I think this kind of is redundant, but keep it simple. KISS. Build systems that are easy to use, easy to teach, and easy to maintain. Everything that I'm going to recommend is like a living, breathing part of your business. And it's not just like a set it and forget it thing. This is something that needs to be monitored. This is something that needs to be maintained. Somebody on your team needs to own these systems, be able to troubleshoot, or have somebody that they can reach out to solve the problems, because this stuff can break, or it evolves, and we need to fine tune, and we need to maintain it. Okay, so let's talk about like practical application of what I have talked about today. Okay, the first thing that needs to happen is you need to optimize your CRM. I sound like a broken record, but I cannot emphasize this enough. So many people are using 10, 20, 50% of their CRM. Your CRM can literally be the hub of your business for contacts, tasks, your sales pipeline, your calendar, a proactive customer service experience, and then workflows, automation, and some other key pieces of technology to integrate to deliver your services at scale. Okay, but it starts with good, clean data. Your CRM in its simplest form is just a database. And so if you think about it like building a home, if you try to put on a frame and a roof on a faulty foundation, the structure will crumble. The same thing with your CRM. If the data is a mess and it's disorganized, ain't nobody buying into the rest of what we're building. And the AI and the note takers and the calendaring tools are less effective because the data is not trustworthy. Okay, so standardizing and creating a contact hierarchy, which I'm going to give you some resources on how to do that, is the first thing that needs to happen, and then mapping out your customer service experience and what do you want it to feel like and look like to be your client. Mapping that out in that, Excel document that I put together, and I'll give you a template that you guys can use and refine and make it feel like the way you want your customer journey to feel. And then taking that information and documenting the individual processes, like that list of workflows that I gave you. How do we handle the passing of a client? How do we handle opening new account, moving money, changing an address, depositing a check? Write out your core workflows step by step. Include your team to get buy-in and ownership. Have very clear role delineation on who does what to create confidence and create consistency. And again, ownership and involving everybody you're going to have a greater success in getting people to buy in if people are involved in building out the processes. So that they're reflective of not just like your unique customer service experience, but like what are the regulatory requirements, the custodial requirements for opening up a new account. Okay, you need to loop in the person on your team that opens new accounts to get their feedback on how to open a new account with as little back and forth with the client, with no NIGOs, and in accordance with Schwab or Fidelity or whatever your custodial platform is, to ensure that the system, the process that we're rolling out is accurate and reflective of all of that, right? I will include at the end of this some workflow whiteboarding documents that I think will be helpful. But when you think about writing a workflow, you're going to want to do it outside of the CRM first, whether it's on like an app like Workflowy or Miro, or you do some sort of flow chart. I don't really care. I just use a Word doc. It's easy enough for me. It's easy to copy and paste and move things around. And I will give you some of those tools to help you start to write out your workflows and your standard operating procedures. But start simple. Start with the most common things that your team is doing. Run some reports out of your CRM to see what are the most common tasks administratively, prospecting, business development, operationally. Everything that you guys are doing more than a handful of times deserves a checklist, aka a workflow that should be stored in your CRM. Okay, once you've got the CRM optimized, you've got your client journey documented, you've got that matrix spreadsheet put together with who you serve, the services you provide, what you want it to feel like. That'll indicate to you what your workflows and your processes should be. You've documented all of those processes, you've taken them to the CRM, documented them in a workflow format with very clear roles and teams and who does what, and you've rolled that out. You've trained your team. You know, everybody is kind of rowing in the same direction and really using the system. You know, you're providing training, you're checking in on people to see how they're feeling, you're ensuring that workflows have no bottlenecks, but yet you still feel friction around some key, you know, pain points. That's when we go to the advisor, you know, the Kitces advisor tech map and see, all right, what are the preferred you know, calendaring solutions. The team is really struggling with the back and forth communication around calendaring, note taking, data gathering, all the things that I explained earlier. That's when we start to look into some additional advisor technology to solve those pain points while KISS, keeping it simple, okay? The CRM is going to act as the hub of your business. So when you select these tools, they need to integrate with your CRM. There is no sense in choosing a tool that is outside your CRM or doesn't play nicely with your CRM. I'm trying to cut down on all the tabs that you have open in a day and centralize things utilizing the CRM as that hub of your business. Okay. And then we need to maintain. That is a vital, I think it's just something that's often missed or maybe just not well, the expectations aren't set clearly, that this is not, you know, a set it and forget it thing. As I mentioned, somebody on your team, we call them the project champion, needs to own the CRM, needs to own the advisor tech. So they can run a quarterly or monthly audit. They can provide additional training and resources to your team to ensure that the systems, the processes, the workflows, and the technology are being mutually adopted by all users. You know, operational excellence is a living, breathing part of your business. And this is the framework that we follow to build it out, including the maintenance component is vital to your ongoing success. So all of that being said, Anthony, I'm going to wrap here. I've provided these are live links to helpful documents from our website, and I'll show you so you can click on these and you can open them up and you can see like our recommendation for how to organize your contacts. If you're in Redtail, these should be your statuses, these should be your categories. You can see how these map to these. We've got definitions in place for what all these things mean. You know, here's some common keywords, here's some common user defined fields. You guys can kind of see this kind of is like the glossary to your database, but I want to provide everybody with some helpful tools for task management, that service model spreadsheet that I shared, and some workflow whiteboarding templates, just to help you guys not have to reinvent the wheel. We've got some of the framework already built. And if you want to take this and edit it and apply it to your business, this is a really good first place to start.
Yeah, and Kate will be emailing this presentation out to everyone on the list that has attended. If you are listening to this webinar because you were not able to attend, just reach out to myself or Terry, and we can get you a copy of this presentation. Kate will also be coming to our conference in October, doing the live actual building workflows, but also talking about the importance of workflows when it comes to business evaluations. So that's a super fun topic that everyone should want to listen to, especially with the way the valuations are at today. Again, I'm Anthony. We got a couple questions here. Kate, how hard would it be to transfer from Redtail to Wealthbox? I also want to know the answer to this.
It's not hard. Well, okay, well, it's not hard. Not trying to make a sales pitch, but I would leverage an expert like our team to help you do it, because Redtail and Wealthbox, they speak a similar language, but not all the fields map over identically. And so the worst thing you can do is like create the big export from Redtail, dump it into or give it to the import team at Wealthbox and have them put all your contacts in and map it, because we often end up with a bunch of gobbledygook in the wrong places. Keywords, user defined fields, tags mean something different in Wealthbox. And so we would happily, you know, help you do that transition. I think, you know, you'd be very happy getting into Wealthbox. But the transition period, you know, needs to be handled with considerable amount of care.
What tools do you recommend to make sure we can keep data clean and consistent?
Yeah, so there's not a super like automated way to do that yet. Coming out in Wealthbox, there will be, but we leverage we start with a monthly CRM maintenance workflow, and then it moves to like quarterly, where someone on your team is running a series of audits to ensure that data is not missing, data is accurate, things are humming once the system has been built out. And so that's one of the workflow whiteboarding documents. And actually, if you are a Redtail user, that is going to be available in the Redtail workflow library that you can directly apply to your CRM, and the same thing in the Wealthbox workflow. In the Wealthbox workflow library, there'll be workflows available to all users that say like Simplicity Ops quarterly Redtail maintenance workflow, and Simplicity Ops quarterly Wealthbox maintenance workflow. That you can, instead of taking my workflow whiteboarding document and building it yourself, you can literally like download it and it will show up in your database. So those will be available to everybody. If they're not available now, they're going to be available very soon. I've got an email in my inbox from Redtail confirming that they're going to apply those to their library.
One more question. It seems like Redtail integrates with more things than Wealthbox. I
Right.
see Wealthbox continuing to
I
add
agree.
more and more tech.
Redtail's just been around for a lot longer, but I don't see that as here nor there, really. As long as it plays nice with your financial planning tool, your portfolio management tool, calendaring, note taking, data gathering, accounts.
And Kate and I, just so for DWS reps that are part of our platform, we consider us an integrated advisor platform. Kate and I are working on a partnership to help DWS advisors. Also feel free to leverage me as I have a lot of experience in workflows and can help map out some of those for our DWS reps as part of our service to make you better and make you more efficient to help serve your clients. Kate, there are all the questions. Again, I thank you for the great partnership, your knowledge. You've helped us a tremendous amount to help us grow our business and serve our clients. If you have not talked to Kate personally, I recommend it. She is a wealth of knowledge, knows everything about operations, not just Redtail and Wealthbox. I leverage her for a lot of technology tools. If you haven't reached out to her, you should do so. If you haven't signed up for the DWS conference, go ahead and register for that. That's going to be super fun. Build, scale, exit, help advisors continue to build their firm, scale it, and if you're ready to exit, we can help with that as well. So thank you all for joining. Be on the lookout for Kate's email to get a copy of this presentation. And thank you, Kate.
Fun stuff. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having me. See you later this year.
Bye now.